everyone, and welcome to part 2 of my May wrap-up. I still have quite some books to show you and discuss with you, or at least just talk with you about, so let me just get started. Don't Look Back by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a crime story, and at first I was a little hesitant to pick it up because I didn't know if I would like it. I'm not very much into crime stories, but the reason why I decided to pick it up anyway is because it also deals with memory loss, and I love stories about memory loss. This is about Samantha, who wakes up one day and she doesn't remember a thing about what has happened to her in the prior days, and her best friend is missing, so she's the only one who really knows what has happened to her best friend, but she doesn't remember, and it is also frustrating. The thing I love the most about this book is the fact that she realizes that she doesn't like her prior life. She doesn't like who she used to be. She was a total bitch, you could say. She grows up and learns how she used to be, and she changes throughout the book, and I really thought that was brilliant. I gave this book 5 stars, a solid 5 stars. It was so interesting, the ending was so surprising, and I definitely recommend that you pick it up. Then we have Split Second by Casey West, which is the second book in the Pivot Point duality. And I have to say, I didn't enjoy this book as much as I enjoyed Pivot Point. This was, I don't know if it's because I read Pivot Point a year ago and I had almost forgotten it, but this one was just not as exciting. It was just a little bit vague in some points and a little bit boring, I believe. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. I cannot get too much into the synopsis because this is a second book, but the first book is definitely great. Go check it out, and if you like it, you may pick up this one as well. This is very hot. It's very hot in here. Anyway, the next book I picked up in May is The Forever Song by Julie Kagawa, the third and final book to the Blood of Eden series. I really enjoyed this conclusion. It was perfect. I loved how it all wrapped up, and how, I don't want to spoil it, but there were some things in it that I really enjoyed, so I think I gave this 5 stars as well. Then I picked up another contemporary because I was in the mood for that. I had read a lot of dystopian books. Now it was time for a light read. I picked up Amy and Watch's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. Morgan Matson is one of my favorite contemporary authors, and this book didn't disappoint me at all. I loved it. This is about a road trip, and I'm sure a lot of you have read this book already, but if you haven't, I have to show you. We have their road trip, we have their playlist, we have their drawings, we also have some pictures. Let me see. Where they eat, what they eat, where they go, etc. And then we of course have a lot of text as well. So I love this concept. It was a very interesting way to write a book. I afterwards read that Morgan Matson went on this road trip herself to write this book. So she has been these places, she has taken these photos herself, and she has created a story based on her own road trip. And I love that. And I gave it 5 stars. I also read the last 2 books in the Bloodlines series by Rochelle Mead. We have The Indigo Spell and The Fiery Heart. I obviously cannot tell you too much about these specific books because they are the last 2 in a series of 4, and the 5th one will be out very soon. So I managed to read them before that happened, and I'm very happy about it. I definitely preferred this one to this one. This one was brilliant. This one was a little bit boring in some parts, but still very good. I gave this one 5 stars and this one 4 stars. Pretty colors as well. In May, I also read one of my favorite classics, and that is Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and I read this for work. I plan on reading this together with some students next school year. And I'm one of those teachers who force my children, who force my students to read books because, I don't know, I try to do it as pleasantly as possible. I don't really force them, I just tell them that I definitely recommend that they read it, and if they want to participate in my classes, they have to read it. So I guess I forced them. The reason why I read this in May myself is because I wanted to refresh my memory. I read this 6 years ago, I believe, and I needed to remember everything that happened, and I love this book. All the symbolism that we have, all the reactions, and what happens to a bunch of little boys who strand on an island alone and have to create their own society, and how that all evolves. I love this book, so I gave this 5 stars. Or actually, I didn't put it on Goodreads because I read it for work, but I still would give it 5 stars. All these books, they make me very excited. Anyway, here we have Maybe Someday by Colin Hoover. Now, the person who convinced me to pick up this book in May was Cassidy Vonchier. She read it and she loved it. She said it was one of the most emotionally draining books that she has ever read. And I owned the book, so I had to pick it up. And I got to agree with Cassidy. This is like, I don't really know how to explain it, because this book did so much to my feelings and my emotions. I couldn't put it down. I couldn't really grasp everything. I was like, my heart was beating fast. I was listening to the songs that go along with the book, and I was just crying my eyes out. I don't know how to explain it. This is just such a beautiful book. Really, really beautiful. It mainly deals with emotions between 2 people who fall in love. But it is so much more than that, and I really don't want to, I don't want to say too much about it other than I gave it 5 stars. I'm pretty much speechless. This was my first book by Colin Hoover, and it is definitely not going to be my last book by her. 5 more books left, and then I'm done, I promise. Okay, the first 2 books here is the first 2 books in the Seren series by Anna Banks. We have Of Poseidon and Of Trident. This is a series about mermaids, and I had never read about mermaids before, so I was very interested to start doing that. That is why I believe I love this series so much, because it was also new to me. I really loved how Anna Banks developed the story, how everything happened, and I also love how she mingled our real world with the mermaid world. So yeah, I really, really love these books, and I love the covers. They are stunning. So I gave this book 5 stars, and I believe I gave this book 4 or 5 stars. I think I gave it 4 stars because I did have some problems with the ending, but all in all, really, really great books. Then I picked up Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. And this is the biggest book in the series. It is 800 and something pages. And I still read it in 2 days. I couldn't put it down. I had some days off from work. I was sitting in the garden in the sunshine, and I just read, and I loved it. The thing is that I have now reached the books in the series that I don't really remember. So I had practically forgotten everything in this book. I did remember some points, but most of it I had forgotten. So it was like reading the book all over again and discovering new things all the time. And of course I gave it 5 stars. The second to last book I read in May is Blood Red Road by Maura Young. This is a dystopian book, and I loved the beginning. I really, really loved the beginning. But as the story progressed, I kind of fell out of love with it again, because I don't know, it was just all too set up. It was like the author wrote this book just to make the character go through some adventure. That's how I saw it. And the ending was very dissatisfying, I will have to say. Obviously I cannot tell you why, because then I would spoil the book. But I enjoyed most parts of the book, but I ended up giving it, I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, but I think I'm going to have to change that to 3 stars. So it was an enjoyable read, but it wasn't my favorite dystopian. I'm still very eager to read this series. I still have 2 more books to read, and I definitely will, because there is something about this book that is very captivating, but I hope it will get better. By the way, this is about a main character called Saba, who lives in the desert, and she lives with her father, her brother, and her little sister. And suddenly one day her brother is being kidnapped, her father dies, and she is left alone with her little sister. And that is all I'm going to say, so you will have to read it to figure out everything else yourselves. The last book I read in May is The Geography of You and Me by Jennifer E. Smith. I went into this book not really knowing what it was about and if I was going to like it, but I ended up loving it. I really liked it. Yeah. Because I originally thought that this would take place during one day in New York, during a blackout. And it doesn't. It takes place over a year, basically. And the blackout is just the beginning of the book. That was really a plus for me. I did have some problems with the storyline and the ending. I seem to have a lot of problems with endings, but this one was a little bit too dissatisfying. I didn't really felt like I got a resolution from it, so that was a little bit sad. But all in all, I really enjoyed this book and I gave it 4 stars. And that's it. That is all for my May wrap-up. So I hope you enjoyed this part as well. Please let me know if you have any questions about the books that I have showed you, because I'm more than happy to answer them. Happy reading, everyone. Bye bye.